2 weeks later, I get a phone call. Hey, Clark, can you come in? I'm like, sure, for what? Well, we'd like to talk to you about maybe coming to work. So they brought me in, and literally a week later, I'm like, you know what? This sounds right. This feels right.
Did you know that 91% of phishing attacks are conducted via email? Freight brokers are particularly at risk as email is the primary, really only option to collect carrier invoices, until now. ePay Manager, powered by OTR Solutions, is a back office automation and carrier payments platform that revolutionizes brokerage back offices with their proactive invoicing workflow, a centralized portal that gets you out of your email. The key to ePay's invoicing workflow is that the invoice is proactively triggered by the broker's TMS and is only created once the carrier reviews the details, which catches invoice disputes early on. This means that you can increase your invoice processing by up to 300 to 500% and reduce billing inaccuracies by 99%. Learn more about ePay by visiting epaymanager.com or text ePayFC to 80483 to see what they can do for your brokerage. We've partnered with Ascend TMS, the world's most popular and top-rated transportation management system. It's the ultimate tool for all your freight needs. You can use our referral code RA-FreightCaviar! To receive 3 months of Ascend TMS for free. It only takes 20 seconds to sign up and no credit card is required. You can click the link below to learn more.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Control Chain. Struggling to find loads? Control Chain offers a cost-effective solution for carriers to secure more freight contracts with reliable shippers. Plus, you get a free tool that automates tasks like managing order details, updating customers, and sending PODs. Say goodbye to spreadsheets, emails, and phone calls. With Control Chain, you can manage everything on one platform, from planning and execution to getting paid. Sign up at controlchain.com and start receiving loads today. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the FreightCaviar Podcast. We are again in St. Louis right now with another company, AmeriPol Staffing, and I am joined again with Will Jenkins, former co-founder of Molo Solutions, acquired by ArcBest. Now he's currently the founder and CEO of Journey. Christian Gebbies, my co-founder at FreightCaviar and ShipperCRM, and Clark Wellman, National Director of Sales at AmeriPol Staffing. AmeriPol Staffing is a company that provides outsourcing to Poland for all your logistical needs, and they are also now a sponsor of FreightCaviar. And we're going to touch a little bit about AmeriPol and its story, talk about Clark's story, and then what AmeriPol brings to the table if you're in the logistics industry. Clark, thank you so much.
Well, thanks for coming.
I've been in St. Louis a while.
I've been to your hometown.
I know. And it's actually pretty cool. Back in April, I flew down to Rzeszów in Poland to hang out with Clark, and we had a wonderful time. I saw their office in Rzeszów, which is the southeastern part of Poland. And then we drove up to Lublin, which is where my mom's from and where I spent the last 2 years living. So I told Clark a little bit of Lublin, and I'm not mistaken, Clark said that was his favorite city in Poland.
I did.
Yeah. So we could talk a little bit about the trip to Poland and stuff like that. But Clark, can you just, I guess, give everyone an introduction to who you are and how you got here?
Absolutely. So as I was saying a little bit earlier, I am married. I've got a 16-year-old daughter who is out on the roads today for the first time by herself in my car, which is a little scary. But I've never done brokering. I've never done dispatch or anything like that. But for the past probably 15, 20 years, I've at least been in some type of technology, trucking technology. I've had my own company, which is still going. I exited out of that. Got into video-based safety with a company called Smart Drive, which is now owned by Omni, right? And Omni's owned by what? Solarimer, I think.
But it was
Solarimer.
Okay.
And then I jumped on board with another startup company based here in St. Louis. We did workflow automation. Unfortunately, the company did not make it, but you got to take your swings, right? And sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss. And then the company actually furloughed a bunch of people, this company I was working for. And so I was substitute teaching at the school district where my daughter goes to school for like 8 months. My wife's in real estate. She's doing real well. She said, take your time, figure out what you want to do. So I was teaching school, and I loved it. Had a blast. get a phone call from a friend of ours, mutual friend of ours here in St. Louis, said, hey, I want you to go to a hockey game. I'm down at Anna Maria Island. This is how I got to AmeriPol. I'm down in Florida. I'm down in Anna Maria Island celebrating my daughter's 16th birthday with one of her friends. Get a phone call. You're going to the hockey game with me on Tuesday night. I'm like, I'm just getting back in on Monday. No, you're going to the hockey game with me. So I ended up going to the hockey game. Blues, they ended up losing. But I'm sitting next to Peter Jazansky, who is the president, and I call him El Presidentski, AmeriPol. And he and I just start hitting it off. And we're talking. We were talking business. We were talking Poland. Because at the time, I was reading a book called 1939. And it is about the invasion, Hitler's invasion of Poland, which started World War II. So we really kind of hit it off, and there was some synergies going on just personality-wise. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call. Hey, Clark, can you come in? I'm like, sure, for what? Well, we'd like to talk to you about maybe coming to work. So they brought me in, and literally a week later, I'm like, you know what? This sounds right. This feels right. It's a younger company, not a startup, but it's a younger company that's got a tremendous opportunity to grow and do some pretty great things. So that's kind of how I got here, and I love it. I'm having a blast.
And when was that?
This was in March of this year.
Yeah.
March of this year. And then the cool thing was I finally said, yeah, guys, I'd love to come work with you. Let's work out the details. So we'll work out the details. The next thing you know, Peter Jazinski, president, is on the phone. Are you ready to go to Poland? And I said, huh? He said, are you ready to go to Poland? And I said, sure. So
a dozen months later, or like a few weeks.
It was like 2 weeks later on a plane, Easter Sunday.
Yeah, we were early April. I fly into Rzeszów from Warsaw because that's where I'm living now. I fly in, and I see Clark there. I see Peter, and we just start talking. And you drive me to the office, which is like a beautiful, large office that we just built.
Oh, yeah.
And this was on a Saturday. And I think one of the first things you took out were like your sin.
Yeah.
I thought it was just hilarious. I'm like, oh, I took a butt on that.
Yeah.
But overall, we started talking about Dr. Huberlin.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
We both were kind of just, talking about our lives and stuff like that. And we ended up driving to Lublin. And I guess this is kind of going outside of like the realm of the podcast, but we had a wonderful time in Lublin and traveled all across Poland.
Oh, yeah.
Throughout those couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of curious from your outside perspective because you've never been to Poland prior to this.
Never.
You go there, and I'm kind of curious, like, what was your perspective like? Maybe even take it back a little bit, like when they offered you the job, it's staffing in Poland. Like, where was your mind at? What were you thinking about? And then, like, how did it look like you got there?
Well, so everyone has preconceived notions about where you're going. If you've never been there, you've got this idea it's going to be like this, it's going to be like this. I mean, Poland, I'm thinking to myself, I've never been to Central Europe. I've always been to Western Europe. I've never been to Central Europe. What's it going to be like? And when I got off that plane, and we landed in Krakow and got off that plane, and then I had an opportunity to go see, it's not Wannsee. What's the castle in Krakow?
Wawel.
Yeah. So a couple of things that struck me, and this was not necessarily related to business or anything, but so it was the Monday after Easter, which is a national holiday in Poland. I could not believe the number of people out walking, riding their bikes, rollerblading, which you do not see a lot of rollerblading in the United States anymore, running, playing sports, and I was blown away. I'm like, my gosh, this is nuts, because you don't see that here in the United States. You really don't, not even. And for me and for you, I mean, I'm an active guy. I like to be outside and exercising and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, this is my jam. I like this place.
Hey there, amazing listeners. If you're enjoying what you're hearing on our podcast, we need your support. It will only take a moment, but it would mean the world to us. Please make sure to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to share with one of your friends that would enjoy our content. Your engagement helps us reach more people and bring more awesome episodes to you. Thanks a million, and thanks for being part of the podcast community.
The opportunities to go see, I saw obviously the Tri-Cities, Dallas, Sopot, and Gdynia
on the Baltic
Sea, massive port. Dansk is where Hitler ended up coming in and invading Poland and starting World War II. Rzeszów, Malbrück, we talked about the castle Malbrück. I mean, Auschwitz, which I would suggest if anybody ever has a chance to go, you go to Auschwitz. It's the most humbling experience you could ever possibly imagine. Have you been?
We'll never forget it.
Yeah, you can't forget it. How can you forget? And Peter and I, it was interesting because we had already been there for 10 days. And we walked out, and I remember looking at Peter, and I said, Peter, I want to go home. And he said, you mean back to, I said, no, I'm ready to go home. He said, I feel the same way. We both kind of had that connection. It's like, I want to go home and see my daughter. I want to go home and see my wife. I want to see my mom and dad. I want to see my sisters because of the loss that was there. And then we went to Velichka, the salt mines, and that kind of cheered us up a little bit. But because I like World War II history and I love everything about that, being in the country that, was invaded by Hitler, an evil, evil man. And then on the other side of the house, you had the Red Army coming in from Russia. Okay. You've got two very evil forces. Yeah, exactly. Right. And then Hitler gets defeated. Russia takes over. Communism until 1989. You go over to that country now, it is amazing. GDP in Poland right now is, I think, number one or number two.
EU.
Yeah.
And growth. Yeah. Growth by itself.
So, and people there, my teammates over there, they're my teammates. I work for them. They are highly educated individuals wanting to work constant. I mean, they're hard workers. So that gives me extra motivation to do what I do now, and that's push. But the infrastructure over there, I mean, you're on the highways, and I had never driven 140 miles an hour. I did over there. I did.
They're a really good road. I actually recently saw a chart that had the average number of hours worked by somebody in the country. Poland was like higher than the U.S. And that blew my mind because I would have never, prior to that, I would have maybe never guessed it. But I also haven't spent that much time, maybe not nearly as much as you have, with the workforce. But that's a surprising statistic.
It's nuts. And then the other thing that got me too was education over there. Okay, everybody, oh yeah, education's free over there. Anybody can go. Nope, not everybody can go. You have to actually qualify to get into one of those universities over there, right? So you may be 400 people applying, and they only take 10% of that group.
Yeah.
And they take their education seriously over there. I mean, one of the cool things is in the Tri-City area, near the Baltic Sea, where our IT and computer infrastructure company, or part of the company, is headquartered. Two of the universities there, Gdańsk Technical University, I believe it is like ranked
pretty highly,
top 5 in all of Europe.
Yeah.
So you imagine that talent pool that they can draw from, and we can draw from. Amazing. And then you see all the American and international companies that have got facilities over there. It's crazy. It's nuts. Poland is, I love that. I love that country. I want to go back. I did not get to see the mountains. That's the one thing I didn't get to see.
Well, we'll take you next time.
I want to go.
Yeah.
And we can rock. And
Will's got to go. We've got to go also. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Europe, but I haven't been to Poland yet.
I was hitting you up last year. I'm like, yo, Will, you got to come to Poland.
Yeah, come next time. You're going to 100%.
I got a great vodka bar over there, too.
Calvary,
Yeah.
Very cool. So you got the AmeriPol Staffing.
Yes.
And I'm curious. Well, first of all, maybe, Will, if you have any questions, Christian, if you have any questions, before I dive in here deeper. I think this is a broad intro. But yeah. Curious. Okay, so like the outsourcing of logistics really blew up during the pandemic.
Yes, it did.
Like everyone went working from home. Like I did outsourcing in Ukraine from 2017 to 2020. And I remember when I moved there in 2017 as a brokerage doing outsourcing in Ukraine, it was like kind of unheard of at that time. Like there was carriers doing outsourcing, but brokers were mostly remaining in the state.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 2020 pandemic hit, everyone went remote. And then all of a sudden it started like blowing up. I'm just curious, like what was the idea? Like if you could tell us the story behind AmeriPol, and then also like how do you differentiate yourself in a market where there's now like a lot of
people.
Well, so I mean, you hit the nail on the head. So during the pandemic, we were all told to stay home. I mean, I don't know how you operated, but we were all told to stay home.
We should talk about that in a second.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, and I was at that other startup company, the workflow automation company. So I remember I'd go into the office because I like being in a physical office, but I was being told by the CFO and the CEO, who were friends of mine, say, Clark, you really can't be down there. It's against the law. I'm like, rules. I'm the only one in there. But so at least from what I was gathering is all these logistics companies everybody's outside. Now they're outside the four walls, right? And everybody's on Zoom. I mean, we were all on Zoom. We were all making fun. There was not a lot of collaboration, easy collaboration going on. So one of the companies that we support, and it's a very large trucking company, they said, we need some help. And we need people that actually can be in a physical office. We're struggling bringing people in here. What can we do? Turns out these guys actually have some background in Poland. So we said, all right, fine, let's start this company and see now I wasn't here at the time, but let's start this company and see how we can do this and make this work in Poland. So we started bringing talent from the different areas in Poland that had logistics talent, bring them on board into a building. Now, there were protocols that they had to follow, right? But the idea is I personally, having seen how freight operates, you have to be able to yell across the table and say, I need help. Come over here. Help me out with this. It doesn't work on Zoom. It doesn't work on a mobile phone. So AmeriPol was born, right? AmeriPol was born out of a need to have reliable, quality people be able to come in and sit down in an office, work collaboratively, of course, following the protocols, okay, and be able to help move freight and be efficient with that. So that's kind of how the company got started. We've been in stealth mode. But thanks to FreightCaviar and some of the stuff that we're doing with you guys now, hopefully our name will start getting out. We'll win a little bit more visibility. What makes us unique? I mean, there's 1,000 freight brokers out there. There's 1,000, 1,000 trucking companies out there. There's a lot of different outsourcing companies out there. The idea behind Poland is, one of the things is our laws are very compatible with Polish labor laws and so forth.
Is that your phone?
Yeah,
that's all right. No worries.
ePay Manager, powered by OTR Solutions, is a back office automation and carrier payments platform that revolutionizes brokerage back offices with their proactive invoicing workflow, a centralized portal that gets you out of your email. Learn more about ePay by visiting epaymanager.com or text ePayFC to 80483 to see what they can do for your brokerage.
So going back, we started that. They started this, and they built. We actually have a physical building over there, a nice office, where people actually are sitting in front of computers and working collaboratively together. I was talking about prior to my daughter telling me that she just wrecked my car. God, I hope not. But the idea is, Will, if you have a company and you are looking to bring on 5 or 6 people in claims, or 5 or 6 people in settlements, driver settlements or something like that, we can actually bring people over to the United States very efficiently at a relatively low cost, have them sit in your offices for 2-3 weeks if necessary, and get that person trained on. It's not just understanding the systems, it's understanding the company culture. Okay, so I can have that person understand your company culture 2-3 weeks, and then they can go back and then they can train their team and bring on the people that are necessary to support your company culture and what you guys do. So that is a huge, huge benefit for us.
It's super important, because you think about if you were to start an organization and then you wanted to have a branch office somewhere else, typically you send someone who's a really strong leader from the home office to cultivate that culture, and then you bring that up throughout the group. But it's hard to do that if people are in another country and you're not able to get them to see what the org does. Like, how do we work? What's it all look like? It's hard to see if you've never seen it.
Nope, you're absolutely right. So that's why we do that. The other thing is everybody that we bring on board, with the exception of like the IT side of the house, everybody's in a physical office. They come in. We're flexible in terms of our hours, meaning if your business is running from 7 a.m. till 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, that team that you bring on board, they're there. Now, if you need after-hour support, we'll bring in after-hour support as well. But they're in a physical office. I think that's also important. The third thing that I hit on it just a few minutes ago is the education. Quality is not necessarily a quote-unquote value, but if you peel the onion back from quality, what does that mean? It's like the people that we bring on board, my teammates. I was sitting next to a guy who was getting his law auditor, and he was doing claims and settlements for a smaller trucking company. I'm like, this guy's got more as you. So, well, I mean, you being from Poland, you understand you can get a solid education over there.
Yeah.
And so that's important. And you're not coming in wearing pajamas and flip-flops and a T-shirt. I'm wearing a T-shirt right now. But you know what I mean. So there are some inherent more. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Like they cherish jobs and like opportunities. They didn't have it. Their parents didn't have that at all. But nowadays, like they're like growing up with more opportunities. But for here, like I would just say like Americans are more spoiled in the sense of like opportunities, jobs, and stuff like that. Whereas they're like, if they have it, like wow, like they need to grasp.
Yeah. Well, I go back to the history of Poland too. If you think about it, 1989 is when Poland came out of communism. And now it took a few years for them to get out
And get up on their feet.
Yeah. But it's a young country. But a lot of those, people that were, in the 40s and 50s remember living under communist regime. And now we've got this great opportunity. We here in America, unfortunately, I'm not saying the entire country, but there's an entitlement going on here. Oh, am I right? Sure. Yeah. Sure. Thank you. I don't want somebody going, that Clark guy, man, he talking about a title. We're not entitled. Yeah, we are. No. Yeah, we are. So you got to work for it. And these people want to work.
Definitely. 100%. I'm wondering, since we have Will here, and I'm really happy we have Will. Thank you for being with us.
Glad to be here. OG.
Yeah. And I would like to a little bit, because he brought this up, like you weren't sure how Molo did it during the pandemic. Kind of curious.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this before, but just for an audience, like right now, perspective, like can you take us back to like the pandemic hitting and like what did Molo do? Like,
yeah, so March of 2020, Chicago was really strict. So when Chicago locked down, and this was, I guess, right during the NCAA tournament. So when the NCAA tournament got shut down, then everything really got weird. We purchased more monitors for everyone. So everyone had monitors in their office. We purchased a truckload of monitors, sent everyone home with a station, the same as they would have in the office, so that you can keep doing what you were doing. And at that point, we became a remote organization. And I remember everyone's talking like, how are we going to do this well? Because we're such a tight-knit group that's used to being together.
Right.
And fortunately, because people communicated well and we gave them the tools to go and execute their jobs at home, we were able to continue hiring, growing, and scaling. But it was really, really hard because you have to go from physical or in-person communication to over-the-top, really clear, transparent. You're on video, you pick up the phone, you're on Slack, all these different things, but you got to really double down so that nothing's lost in translation, things that are really easy to do in person. It worked, but it was really scary in the beginning, right? Because I've, in my experience, only ever been in brokerages that were in office 24/7. Well, I guess during the day, right? But there's people there all the time.
Right.
And there are examples of organizations prior to the pandemic that were remote successfully, but I hadn't run one. I hadn't started one, wasn't a part of that. So it was really scary. But it ended up working out. We had to equip everyone to go home and do their jobs well, right? Like we couldn't leave it to question, like one screen, best of luck. Like it just isn't the job that you're going to succeed if you don't have all the stuff to replicate what you're doing in the office. So short of it, it was tough, but it worked well.
And I know also I want to touch on this, like prior to the pandemic, I know that like Molo was also near shoring some jobs. So I'm kind of curious, like I know that during the pandemic, I think that even expanded. Can you tell us a little about like how that operated and works with like the Molo organization? Like Yeah, that makes employees in other countries?
Very similar, right? You have to increase your communication and the frequency of that. So prior to 2020, I actually stood up our offices that were remote. So it was interesting to build. I had to learn a lot about how do you put in the structures to allow your team to succeed, and then work through the culture piece. They've not seen it, so you've got to try to build that innately. But then those people have to go remote. You still need to be able to hire, and then how do you manage that? So a lot of it had to come down to building the right training processes, and then making sure that people were really, really clear about the expectations of the role, similar to what was happening as we onboarded people in the States, because now you're onboarding green people that don't know freight in a remote environment. And training people is hard enough as is, but training green people that don't know freight in an environment where they don't get to sit next to somebody and hear a tracking call or hear a carrier call is really, really tough. So you have to focus on fundamentals. What do you want to see them do? How do you make sure you get feedback from them about the training process? It's a heavy lift.
Definitely. Heavy lift. And I'm curious, like, the overall takeaway, like, from your experience nearshoring, was it positive? Was it neutral, negative? Like, just be completely honest.
Mine is incredibly positive. Okay. I am a big fan. I've seen, one of the things you mentioned was having someone with a law degree sitting next to you manage claims, right? I had reps that had master's degrees.
Oh, yeah.
Dispatching loads.
Yeah.
And they had an opportunity, right? It's an incredible opportunity. They make good money. They're happy. They feel good about the organization they work with, right? But they're so qualified, so sharp, ambitious, ready to work. I'm like, if you lived in the States, you'd be running laps around people right now, but like you don't, right? And so this is a cool, incredible opportunity. It's really, really cool to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But the depth of talent is actually mind-boggling. I was like, this is crazy. Also, you speak like 3 languages.
Oh, yeah. I'm tall for it. So I'm going to tell a story about that one, if I may. So I'm sitting there, I'm talking to a buddy of mine, an acquaintance of mine. And he brought up the whole thing with language because I told him what I was doing. He goes, "Is there a language barrier?" And I go, "No, not really, because you have that proficiency scale, right?" And I'm learning that proficiency scale. But man, I wouldn't do that because they sound like morons on the phone. And I looked at him. I said, "How many languages do you speak?" And he goes, "English." I go, "That guy you're talking about probably speaks 5 different languages." Who's fluently? Yeah. Who's more on now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've partnered with Ascend TMS, the world's most popular and top-rated transportation management system. You could use our referral code RA-FreightCaviar ! To receive 3 months of Ascend TMS for free. You can click the link below to learn more.
And to your point of like saying someone sounds like an idiot on the phone, there's obviously people that sound like idiots on the phone.
Yeah.
And that just boils down to like training processes and also hiring the right people, right?
Absolutely.
But the majority of the time, proficiency, you might have like 2, right? Yeah. Which are interesting. Because there's like different levels, like 1, 2, I forgot, A1 or A1, yeah, something like that.
There's probably some people that'll watch this that'll be like, "Yeah, I think that guy called me. He sounded like a moron on the phone." Yeah. But no, but the proficiency thing, and that's the interesting thing, is like when we get CV file from people over in Poland, and you know the rule, like you can't have their name on there. You can't have their first.
Oh, really? It's real.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
GDPR, their whole data security over there is, in my opinion, levels above ours.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it is GDPR, because we're going through a process right now with SOC 2 compliance and all this kind of stuff. But if you were to send me your CV file for Poland, I only get to know your first name. I don't have your phone number. I may get your email because you're going to potentially be working for me. It's locked down.
Yeah,
it's locked down.
So if you don't get the email, how do you know how to like get back to that person?
I let the HR team.
I totally remember that. Yeah, they'll like add their number, but they have to like get to agree to like provide that data with them, and like even if like you're taking a photo at like an event, like you have to get like the approval that like you like. I mean, usually like obviously it's not like so strict, but like if someone says like, "Hey, you can't take photos," it'd be like you're legal, you cannot like photo that.
Yeah,
or like close up. Yeah, so it's the privacy laws are in the EU are sick. Yeah, we wouldn't have a company because we puts it into perspective. Basically.
Well, I mean, back to your point though, it's like it was a culture shock for me because when I was coming back, I'm like, all right, we need to redo this marketing material. We need to redo this. We can't. Why? Of course, I'm asking why. You can't have their photos without their consent. I'm like, huh? So the culture thing. They're learning the culture. So I appreciate hearing your background. That's really cool.
You learn a lot from people that grew up and work in other countries, and you get a lot of respect for people that are just willing to roll their sleeves up and do the work, and they're incredible at it.
Yep. And my whole thing is, if you ain't learning, you're dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the one thing that I've just been thoroughly impressed with my team about. So,
what are the goals, like vision for AmeriPol? Like now, like what does the office look like right now, and where you're trying to take?
Okay, so in St. Louis, there's really only three of us here in St. Louis. El Presidensky, as I call him, the president of the company, Peter. We've got an account manager and myself, so we're here and we're starting to build things up. Then when you look at physical space, we have the office in Rzeszów, which you had an opportunity to see. Beautiful 4-story. Actually, it's 5 stories. Y in Europe is 410 or 410.
That's how they do it. Yeah.
So, and then we've got that office, and then we have an office in the Tri-Cities on the Baltic Sea, specifically for IT and computer solutions and so forth. And then we do have another office that we've just opened, and it's going to be focused more on transportation. Right now, I think collectively, we're all still working on where do we want to be in X number of years. We don't want to get to a point where we've got so many people we cannot provide quality, right? Mm-hmm. So we're focused. And the other thing is, we're not just focused on logistics. We actually can work with insurance brokers, claims adjusters, all those type of things. We've got experience.
It's in like the transportation kind of.
In the transportation.
Yeah, under that umbrella kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not just, I need a truck dispatch right now, track and trace type of stuff. Yeah. We can do a lot more stuff behind the scenes with qualified candidates and so forth. IT is huge for us too. It's like, we're in a freight recession right now. You post, on FreightCaviar all the time. Everybody's laying off. Trucking companies are going out of business and all this kind of stuff. What are you doing for your IT infrastructure? Okay. Who's managing that? Who's got it? If you're acquiring another company, who's going to actually get those two systems to talk together? We have capabilities of doing those type of things. I think you'll start to see a little bit more of IT and, those type of offerings coming out of our company. And then it's really going to be interesting once this freight recession starts to kind of lighten up, and we're starting to see some improvements. But going back to these trucking transportation companies, I was talking to a couple guys that work for one of our big clients, and they said, are people planning for what's next? And that's this. So we're going after them saying, you may not be hiring right now, but what's your plan in 6 months when this thing turns around? By the way, AmeriPol's here to help out.
And what's nice about it is those I guess visa laws, right? Is that for IT sometimes maybe it is helpful to be in person to come in, especially for an integration of an acquisition, whatever.
Absolutely,
which is really nice.
Yeah, and just to get to know the team. But I mean, I can't. Yeah, I wish I could sit here and say specifically 6 years or a year from now. I know, we'd like to see probably our staff double that we have over in Poland. I'd love to be able to have somebody else come on board here to help out with some of the sales, but our volume is starting to increase. But we want the visibility. We want people to know who we are, know what our value proposition is, know what we can do for them. So all we ask is give 1 foot in the door. We're not asking for all 20 of your people. Just 1 foot in the door. Let us prove that we can do what we do better than the other folks. Does that kind of help?
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that you're in Poland because, obviously I live in Poland. I'm Polish, and whenever everyone AmeriPol reached out to me, this is awesome.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
The drive from Rzeszów to Lublin.
Yeah, an hour and a half drive.
Yeah. Our director of operations and then Peter, our president, are sitting in the back, and they're both napping.
Yeah, they had a long night.
They were out till 4 o'clock.
Yeah, they were.
I'm like, I couldn't do that.
I had to drink the largest Red Bull, and then he just. that's where he was at, and he was often.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying this because I'm biased, but I'm definitely hearing that people are saying Poland is the next powerhouse in the EU. kind of like Germany, was for the last decade or more. But like they're not there yet, but they're definitely getting there. And AmeriPol taking, getting ahead of that trend is like, it's good.
It is. For us, it is. And it's like, it's interesting when we picked you up from the airport in Rzeszów, one of the other questions I get is like, well, they're right next to Ukraine. I'm like, yeah, but Poland's a NATO country and they're part of the EU. Russia ain't going after them unless he's that crazy. But the other cool thing is Rzeszów, that little town, is one of the pipelines for all the military equipment that's going into the Ukraine right now.
Yeah, and there's like around 8,000 U.S. soldiers.
8,000, yep. And that was cool for me because, here, I was in the service like in the early 90s, right? So I'd go up and, say hi to them. A lot of them were real quiet. And then I'd finally, I did this. It was able to kind of, have a little bit of a bond with them.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, if I may, one of probably the most sobering stories about me being over there, aside from Auschwitz, is when we were flying out of Krakow to come back home. We were at the hotel right there at the airport, and I get on the elevator, and there were 3 Ukrainian soldiers getting on in full. They were in camis. One guy was missing his right arm, the other guy was missing his left arm, and the guy had his leg below his knee, but they were still in uniform, still very, very proud of what they were doing. But they were there, obviously, for medical treatment. I share that because I think it's important for people to understand that, again, that those people in Ukraine and Poland are very strong, very proud people. Very proud of what they're doing over there.
Yeah.
Sure.
What else do I want to know? So, how do you spend your days, Clark? You're based out of St. Louis.
St. Louis.
And what's your kind of, sales strategy?
Yeah, I right now, Chris Jolly. Okay,
Shout out Chris.
Yeah, Chris. Shout out to my man, the freight coach. By the way, go Buckeyes! Beat Wisconsin. He'll appreciate that. But right now, I think the big thing for us is obviously the visibility. We need to get some additional visibility about who we are because, as I mentioned, we've been in stealth mode. So it's a lot of smiling and dialing. I'm reaching out to former customers of mine, former friendlies of mine, and just presenting what we have to offer and how we do things. So you asked me what my day is like. It was up until recently trying to redo some of the marketing stuff that we're doing, the messaging and so forth. We've actually brought somebody on board to help us with that now, which is great. So my day is smiling and dialing, making the cold calls, sending out the emails. For those of you that are watching or that happen to watch us, take my call. Take my call. We can have a chat, But part of, again, I go back to the strategy. It's like when we go into a company, we're not looking right away to replace 20 people. We'd like just that one chance. Just give us that one opportunity to kind of prove what we can do. We can do, as I said, the staffing, whether it be claims, driver settlements, whether it be track and trace, any of those type of things. Or if you need some IT help, we can help you out on the IT side of the house as well. But it's evolving. Let's put it this way. I've only been here. If you think about it, I got back from Poland middle of April. Yeah. So I've only been here for about 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So we're still, we're doing well. We've got some great customers on board, but now we're just trying to refine some things.
Yeah. An exciting time.
Yeah.
Sure. Curious gentlemen, any questions for Clark? Today's episode is also brought to you by Control Chain. Struggling to find loads? Control Chain offers a cost-effective solution for carriers to secure more freight contracts with reliable shippers. Sign up at controlchain.com and start receiving loads today.
What do you enjoy the most about this? You've done some really cool stuff up to AmeriPol.
I love the people I work with. As goofy as that sounds, I absolutely love Peter. You guys had an opportunity to meet Peter. Peter is fair, honest, hardworking. I just love coming in.
The energy levels of both of you are really high, and it's like infectious. It's like that. Want to spend time with you guys.
Peter always, you walk in, you talk to Peter, and it's like, how you doing? Even though he's having maybe kind of a substandard day, how you doing today? I'm great. Every day's great. And he and I had a chance to bond for 2 weeks. I mean, I was tied at his hip for 2 weeks in Poland. So that was something that I enjoy, the challenge. Okay. So, yeah, I said earlier, there's a lot of brokers out there. There's a lot of trucking companies out there. There's a lot of companies out there that are doing what we're doing right now. It's a challenge. Okay. I'm not looking at what they're doing. I'm focused on what we're doing right now. Yeah, I can't change what they do. I can only impact. That's, if you ever read any kind of Stoic philosophy, they always talk about focus on what you can control. So that's what I'm trying to do, and that's what we're trying to do. We're focusing on what we can control right now, and it's the challenge. I've loved coming into companies that have either been around for a little bit and need some help, and I'm not the answer. I'm a piece of the puzzle. But that's what I enjoy. I love coming in. It's a challenge. How many calls am I going to make today? How many people can get on the phone? How many people can I get at least remotely interested in what we have to offer? That's a challenge. That's what I love. I love Zell.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, it's fun.
So, Clark, I'm going to start wrapping up a little bit, but I'm curious, because we talked about this a little bit. You like Dr. Huberman.
Oh, yeah.
I like Dr. Huberman. What do you like to listen and read? What are your go-tos? History is a big one, right?
Yeah, but I do like, and I want to hear what you guys have to read too, because that's interesting to me. I will read history. I love Stoic philosophy, so I read Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius. You guys got to pick up a book. As a matter of fact, I will gift you guys a book. It's called How to Become a Stoic, and it's written by a guy that takes all three of those primary philosophers and brings it into one. So I love reading that kind of stuff. I don't listen to a ton of podcasts. Oh, Huberman. I'll listen to Huberman. The problem is they're 2.5 hours long. It's like you
got to listen to it on 1.5x. Yeah, not all the time, but definitely have to listen to a bunch of his. And 1.5x is hard sometimes to get.
Do you listen to Huberman?
A little. I haven't in a while. I listen to a lot of different books though on Audible. So it's the way I retain content best is through audio.
Yeah,
personally. But I'm listening to Unreasonable Hospitality right now, which is really good.
Okay.
It's about 11 Madison Park, which was rated the best restaurant in the world.
Okay.
And the gentleman that ran it talks about all the practices that they put in place over time to get to the point to become the best restaurant. But it's applicable to business in general. It's really, really good.
I'll need a penny.
Yeah.
I have that on my to-read list. I saw it. Yeah, it looks really good.
It is.
I recently read The Wim Hof Method.
Yes, you took this man had us do a Wim Hof. Yeah, Wim Hof. I ordered. Did you read the one? Oh, yeah, I've read it. That guy's nuts.
I love the guy. I love him so much. I have so much love and respect for Wim. He's amazing. We were doing the Wim Hof in a piece, the breathing.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, we were driving to Tesla. We're just like listening like the FreightCaviar playlist on Spotify. It's blasting. I'm like, guys, want to do some Wim Hof? If you just literally turn off the music, we're doing Wim Hof. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And for like 15 to 20 minutes, honestly, crazy. It's cheap.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
the breathing exercises are cheap.
I haven't done the breathing exercises as much as I should.
I just try to do them every day. Honestly, when I do the Wim Hof method before any meeting, it becomes the best. Literally, like I become so much more empathetic and also so much more calmer. And at the same time, like I'm able to I do it like before like team meetings and stuff. And I notice like if I do it before team meeting, wow.
Yeah.
It's like my meetings go next level. Whereas like if I like don't do it, I feel so rushed and chaotic. And maybe because I do have like ADD, but when I do like that exercise, I'm like, wow, I'm like really calm, really listening, I'm like, yeah. So highly recommend the Wim Hof method.
Yep, I would agree. Well, it's funny because my daughter, he's, like I said, 16. When she gets all nervous before a test, 16-year-old, they know it all, right?
Yeah.
I did when I was 16.
We all did.
You didn't.
No.
But I'm like, okay, fine, sweetie, go in before you take the test. Put a finger here, breathe through your nose, do about 5 here, take it off, do the other side. Just different breathing exercises like Wim Hof, right? There's another guy I forwarded. He's called the Certified Health Nut.
Okay.
And this guy's awesome. He was a former model, and he got out of the whole modeling racket, you guys might not like. He might put you to sleep too because he does a lot of the releases. I do have to ask though. Did you guys is there a sauna joint in Chicago that you all went to?
We went on Friday to the Chicago Sweat Lodge. It was epic. When you got to come to Chicago, we got to go.
I would do it.
Yeah.
I love the saunas.
When you come to Poland next time, we'll show you a real sauna.
See, I haven't.
They're pretty good. Yeah.
I hope that. Yeah, we don't have anything like that. We've got them at the Y, right? And they keep it at 170 degrees. That's not a sauna. That's a sunbath, right?
Yeah. 170. Wait.
Yeah. Well, Rogan does them at like 200.
Yeah. I mean, that's the Chicago Sweat Lodge. They were something close to 220. I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think we could do like 100 degrees Celsius. Just like, I don't know what's that in Fahrenheit, but 180.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's steep, that's for sure. But also, Clark, we have to wrap this up. Unfortunately, we have to drive back to Chicago. It's 5:30 right now. By the time we get home, it's probably midnight. Now later.
Well, if you do the Wim Hof, it's only we got a self-driving call. You got the best.
Christian has a self-driving. Oh no, Clark. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so we could just put it on self-driving.
It's almost to the point where we'll be able to put the sunglasses on, and it won't any more bother me. Like, hey, pay attention. So
I'm just sitting here picturing driving next to a guy. That's what we got earlier. Going, this
yeah. Well, Clark, thank you so much.
All right,
curious, Clark, if someone's interested in learning more about AmeriPol Staffing, should they reach out to you or go somewhere else?
Call my phone, 314-456-7390 or clark.wellman@AmeriPolStaffing.com.
Your phone number is super easy, 314-456-7390. Okay. You only have to remember the the 4 digits. It's like 314 St. Louis, 456.
Easy.
And then 7390. Well, I already remembered it. I want to start calling you more often.
We're on WhatsApp, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Good deal, Clark. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Daily FreightCaviar Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, or if you didn't, leave a review. Let me know what you think. I appreciate any feedback. If you'd like to have more FreightCaviar content, go to FreightCaviar.com and subscribe to my email newsletter.